Hi, this is Teresa Cutter from CFA TV, and we just wanted to bring you two sound bites from tonight's Market Forecast Dinner presentation. Chris Probin, Chief Economist of State Street Global Advisors, and Azia Mansour, Chief Economist of REEF. Here are their sound bites for those of our members who were not able to make it tonight.
I think the U.S. will lead the global recovery. The U.S. is the importer-consumer of last resort. And while this isn't healthy long run, I think it's probably quite crucial to the near-term turnaround, both in the U.S. and the world.
Thank you. Chris Probin, Chief Economist of State Street Global Advisors.
In terms of the economy, the U.S. economy, and the global economy, I don't think there's going to be a turnaround in 2009. I think this is going to be a 2-year recession. It's probably the longest since the early 1980s. I don't see any driver. The only sector that's growing right now is federal government. When government is the only sector that's growing, we're in a deep recession. So recovery in 2010, and that's probably when all the fiscal measures and monetary policy starts. And then an inventory adjustment. We've just brought down everything so low that at some point we need to produce something because we have a 1% population growth. In terms of alternatives, all alternative asset classes have been impacted. On the fundamental side, in a weakening economy, corporate profitability is down, vacancy rates are rising in real estate buildings. I think that, so not only are the fundamentals being impacted, infrastructure to a lesser degree because it's a monopoly asset, it's an essential service, so we don't see fundamentals impacting infrastructure, but across the board, alternatives, because of the credit crunch and this recessionary economy, we're seeing valuations are getting hit. And we think valuations will be hit. There's going to be weakness in transaction activity, probably through 2010 as well. And again, these are derivative asset classes, so the economy has to recover for them to recover. But I think that's also opportunities. This is the time that you think if you have cash and you have dry powder, this is the time that you want to be investing because people are so cash and they need to sell. So there may be opportunities, but we don't see a full-fledged recovery until 2010. It's very hard to put myself in, the Treasury, Paulson's shoes or Bernanke's, Federal Reserve Chair Bernanke's shoes. But I think one of the things we learned from Japan, from the Japanese 10-year lost decade experience, is that they were not quick enough of taking off the bad assets off the bank balance sheets. And maybe some banks have to fail. So I would use the second part of TARP, which is being called TARP 2, directly taking off all the bad assets off the bank balance sheet so the banks are less impaired and they can start providing loans, because we, in this country, we're a leveraged society. We need leverage for our businesses, for our local governments, for our consumers. So the banks have to be back in the business of giving loans, and they won't until the bad assets are removed off their balance sheets.
Great, thanks. Chief Economist of REEF, Azia Mansour.
Hi, my name is Lachey Howell, and I am an investment officer. I wanted to say that this event was a great introductory into the CFA Society of Sacramento.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Roberts. The Sacramento CFA Society is the place to be if you want to know what's happening. Tonight's forecast dinner had the latest breaking news on what's happening in the economy in 2009.